So we do
I have to
one
ask
question.
You know what the GOAT's number was? 23. And the thing about this podcast, REI Baddies, they also have 23 episodes in their first year. That tells you they are the GOAT of podcasting right now. They're filling the space between OGs in the business and brand newbies. They are absolutely killing it. And also, we need way more women investors that are doing podcasts. Why? Because right now, there's proof, scientific numbers that are telling us that more women are entering into the business of real estate investing and developing than ever before. Here's the thing. You got to go check out their podcast every Monday morning at 6 a.m. These guys are such baddies, that they drop an episode early in the morning because only early birds catch that worm.
What's up, Baddies Nation? Welcome back to another episode of REI Baddies, where real estate gets real. I'm your co-host, Rachel Davis.
And I'm Kate Baldwin.
And today we are joined by Ella Ray, a creative finance transaction coordinator, our first transaction coordinator after so many episodes, known for running tight files, protecting deals, and really keeping people out of avoidable garbage.
And we're not doing the typical tell your whole life story today opener. Not because we don't want to, but because we've already seen that version. Today, it's completely operator level.
So Ella, welcome to REI Baddies.
Thank you so much for having me, ladies. It's such a pleasure to be here. I'm so glad to be able to do this with you.
Oh my gosh. So we can start with like the first question, right? You said you're moving from TC into operations.
Uh-oh.
So we'd like to start. What?
You
froze.
Oh, I'm frozen?
Yeah, we can continue.
No, I was just gonna say, I don't see Rachel that well. So I don't know if it's if you have a like bad connection or
I shouldn't. Let me do something real quick.
I think you're echoing too.
Uh-oh. We can cut all this out, right?
Yeah, totally. Oh yeah. Oh, it's been worse.
Sorry.
Oh my goodness, I love this. This is so funny.
Where are you, Ella?
I'm based out of Central Florida.
Oh my God, I'm in Key West.
Shut up! No way.
Born and raised. Girl, I went to UCF.
No
We need to
way.
like totally hang out, please.
Oh my gosh, yes, I would love to. I have not been to the Keys in maybe like 6 years now.
Come on down. You can stay just come when Liv's not here, my daughter, and stay in her room. I'm in Big Pine. I have the water in my backyard.
Nice.
We can go and do all the fun stuff. Come for like 2 days. I mean, I know it's a long drive, but 3.
So are you guys able to hear and see me now?
Yes.
Okay. Let me see if I can. I'm so sorry. I can hear you guys. It makes me feel terrible.
Well, you're much better now.
Yeah.
Oh, wonderful. So I will go back so we can edit some of that out. I'll be quiet for a little bit and then go to the question. Does that work,
Yeah,
Kate?
perfect.
Cool. So Ella, you said that you're moving from TC into operations. So I'd really like to start there. Can you explain what problem you're trying to solve that TC alone can't fix?
So I definitely, being in this space for so long and dealing with as many investors as I deal with, it's become very apparent to me that a lot of investors are more visionary than anything else, right? So they know how to create a vision and they know, what the end product looks like, but it's the messy middle that they have a very difficult time navigating. So being able to look from the outside in, I can see the things that are failing or need to be implemented or where the gaps in their business are. And I think that if I'm able to offer that to them, which allows me to be really like in their business as opposed to a TC who's just doing one transaction, transactions, etc., then I can really help them get their businesses off the ground and maximize their earning potential, because dealing with paperwork, dealing with processes and systems, that's not their highest and best use. So, as an outsider, I think being able to see that and implement that for them will help them immensely. And I love to see my community win. So
I
figured
love
I
that.
would
Yeah, because
help
you
with
say
that. Yeah.
yeah, that's awesome because you say like operations, like people hear
Right.
that buzzword and it's like in this world, what does the ops actually mean? Like, what does operations actually mean? Like, what are you? Oh, what does that mean to you? Like operations
So for
versus
me,
versus TC. And I know you just kind of got into it, but elaborate.
right. So I touched on it a little bit, but I think if we're really going to dig in there, I would say TC is like someone will hire me as a TC if they have a transaction that they want to close. There's a property they want to buy. It's a creative property. They're not really sure what the paperwork side of looks like, right? So there's a lot of mechanics involved in there, a lot of different nuances for different creative deal structures, which is great, but it's a one-time thing, right? Of course, they could come back to me and they do multiple times, but that doesn't allow me to really get into their business. Being an operator would look like, okay, well, how many properties do we have? Managing the properties, making sure the insurances are in line, making sure they have good bookkeeping, and really figuring out where the gaps are. And not me myself doing anything about it, but helping them find the people to kind of plug in those holes, so to speak, right? And connecting, right? So that's more of what operations is. It's more of like the day to day, streamlining their business so that they're
Yeah.
not all over the place and they have like 10 different files with the same thing in them. So just kind of like cleaning up house, putting everything in order for them. And that's a really huge difference from what a TC would do.
So that's a great
Oh my
segue.
God, I love this topic. Go ahead.
So this is going to be twofold, Ella, because part of this is attracting the right people to you, right? So like, I'm going to ask the first question and then follow it up with the who is the profile for the opposite of this. So what's an example of an invisible expensive problem you see investors ignore? That way you can start to avoid like who do we gravitate towards you maybe that you would
Um,
want to work operations for?
an example of an expensive problem that we would
So I
like to.
think the first one I think about would probably be a great example is when you see underwriting or you're doing transaction coordination for co-living. I'm
Right.
sure you see things that are red flags and you're like this is a problem that is invisible to the person because they have
Right.
not done this thing, but I see it because this is what I do. So, what's a problem you've seen? And then who's the type of person that you would like to attract to you so that you could help solve those problems in advance?
So I think, well, wow. I mean, the problems, I mean, we could talk for days about the problems because there is no end in sight with the problems. And each avatar has its different set of problems. So like let's say you're doing co-living, I think one of the big problems that I'm seeing is not getting the proper insurance in place, right? Because it's not just regular insurance. Maybe there's zoning that we have to look at, right? Maybe there's a lot of due diligence that I think gets missed, and it's not just with that particular exit strategy. I mean, that could even be with like private money lenders or like not doing their due diligence and losing out all their money. They're
Or
losing their
like
pants
even
on
like
these deals.
potentially thinking that the home can produce more rooms than it can.
Right. Right.
Because I
So,
find that there's a lot of issues because you got like plumbing to deal with bathrooms, and then,
right.
oh, we're just gonna throw a wall up here, but there's no electric, so there's just
Right.
like a lot of things as an operator that you would catch that they wouldn't necessarily do.
Right. And that's great. Like I think when we're thinking of operator in these terms, we're thinking of like the people running the houses, right? Like the people who are buying the houses, running the houses. And that could certainly translate into operator for their business, right?
Sure,
Because
that's
that's just
true.
one aspect of the operations that needs to happen for someone doing co-living. But there's general operations that we're looking at as well in terms of like, making sure that your bookkeeping is in line, making sure that you have all of your insurances for your properties, making sure that you have your property manager, you have all your contact
Cool.
information, you're setting up all your payments,
Sure.
you're not missing these things. It's like
Yeah.
the finer details that often get skipped because people are just, go 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 one project to the next. A visionary is always thinking about the next best thing, right? The next thing that they want to do. So kind of almost, you know picking up the pieces, so to speak, making sure everything is in its place, and that way they're moving on their operation, and it's more streamlined for them, and it's repeatable processes. You know, you're buying a house, this is what we're doing, this is the lenders we're using, um, this is the insurance that we're going to get. This is who we're going to furnish it with. This is our list of furnishing that we're going to, you know, and this could be translated to many different aspects of someone's business.
So instead of co-living, so go ahead. Sorry, Ray.
Are you saying to me or Ella?
Oh, you're echoing so bad. Um, so quick question. Going off operations, I know that we just spoke specifically about co-living. Say someone is building their business and they need an operator to kind of figure out the back end of their company. Is that something that you're
Right.
interested in doing? Like,
That's more along the lines of what I'm looking at when I'm
girl,
talking
because
about.
you want to help. Do you want me to be your guinea pig?
I
I
love
mean,
that.
girl, I have struggled. You just talked about, oh, making. I was a wedding planner for 15 years. I struggle, and I say this a lot in these interviews because it was such a struggle with me in operations. Like, I am good at working. I work, 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 but the operations part, and that is going to be such an amazing asset to our community because there's a lot of people like me. You know, Rachel's more like operation driven. She's got Mike, he's very operational driven. Mike, her husband, is like Mr. Operations. So I think that that is going to bring value. And I think that once you get that up and running, we would love to have you back on the show for that because I really do believe that that is the part of success that is going to make someone successful or not, right?
100%,
Yeah.
100%. And I think it's important for visionaries to really understand what it is they need because sometimes they think they need an operator, but what they really need is like a virtual assistant, some kind of VA or like an executive assistant, right? And that happens a lot. It's like, oh, I need somebody to, you know, I don't know. It could be menial tasks. It's not really
Sure.
somebody going in there and kind of like putting order to your business, right? It's just someone doing like the one-offs, like make
So
this phone call or, you know, more of like an executive assistant kind of role.
Sure.
this is a little bit of a tangent. Sorry, not
Yeah.
sorry, Kate.
No, I'm
Um,
ready.
what is the like values? What are the values of the type of visionary that you would want to be an operator for? Because let's be honest, we work with people who we trust and respect, and I know that's a very big thing
Very
for
big
you.
thing for Ella Ray.
Right. As if I haven't made that very apparent. Yes.
Boom.
It's why I
Yes.
love you so much, Ella.
But that's why you're on this show because we both are the same.
Yes, ma'am. So definitely someone with high integrity. That is a must. I will not work with people who do not have a very good moral compass, right? You come across a lot of different personalities in this space, and you quickly see who has good intentions and who's just looking to get over on everybody. I certainly don't want to work for the latter. I think that my ideal visionary is someone who's not someone who's just getting started, right? Because I think the person who's just getting started probably just needs a VA to help
Sure.
them kind of like streamline some of their stuff. But I think someone who has been doing the thing for a while and really is just like maybe a solopreneur or maybe they have a team but they don't quite know how to manage their team and how to kind of set, you know, expectations with their team and people are just all willy-nilly maybe doing, you know, multiple things at once or having multiple roles. So I think they should definitely be established in their space and they just need to free up more time from their day-to-day so that way they can focus on doing more of what it is that they want to do, like sober living or
Right.
assisted living facilities, etc.
Right. So then we talk about, then we don't, from there, so you have this opportunity to service, but then you mentioned using AI to scale that. So, I mean, what would you automatically first set up for someone or suggest someone to set up that has related to AI, or is that something you're still working on?
So funny enough, I come from a telling my age here. So when I started as an executive assistant, like almost 30 years ago at this point, it was more of like, here's your desk, here's your computer, that's your boss, do what you have to do, right? And I
Right.
had to figure it all out. Now it's
Right.
like, oh, SOPs, SOPs, SOPs. And there is definitely some value in that, and I'm seeing that now because it's replicatable. It's, repeatable processes that, anyone can come in and ideally come in and do these things, right? And they're not missing a step because we're repeating this process over and over again. So I think having SOPs in place is pretty important. I'm buying a property. I'm going to call the interior designer. I'm going to order the furniture. I'm going, like having these processes so that way we know how to maximize our time, right? Maybe there's things in there that we realize that don't necessarily help us or that are taking too long or could be done by someone else. We could delegate it to somebody on the team. So having SOPs in place, having a good, I want to say, I mean, CRMs, of course, are
Yeah,
important, but making sure that
absolutely.
you're keeping in contact with all of
Yes,
your potential clients, with
yes,
your existing clients, letting them know, like, hey, just because we finish this job, that doesn't mean that I've forgotten about you. Let's keep in touch
right.
so that we can continue to do business going forward. And with that comes automations, right? Because of course, AI has seemingly taken over most of everything at this point. And I think it's important to implement it
And
as much as possible without letting it do your, well, I mean, I guess to some extent people do let it do their job for them, but I still feel like
they
they're
still have to give it a prompt,
right,
okay? You still have to
right,
make it you. Like, I can't tell
right,
AI like who I am without telling it who I am.
exactly.
So I think like for the proper way of using AI personally, I'm not as advanced as some, but I use it, and it's you still have to prompt it. You still have to give it that
Right,
custom feel. So
right.
being able to customize AI is in itself is a position getting
It,
it started.
it, yes, and that's something that I would be like, okay, well, you need to hire this person to do that
Yeah,
thing, right? I'm not
delegation.
the one doing the thing. I'm the
No,
one putting people in place or telling you what you need to do.
and that right
And
there,
of
there's
course,
so much value.
right. And I think, even with AI though, I think the people who are going to suffer are the ones who solely use AI and there's no human aspect to their
I agree,
business.
1000%.
Because I love getting on the phone. Like, it's like, hey, I could solve this in 5 minutes on a phone call instead of like five
Oh,
emails back
damn.
and forth over the course of a day. You know what I
Oh, I
mean?
hate that. I'm
It's
gonna
like,
call you up, girl.
me too. I do the same thing, but like, I mean, of course, you can have your AI chatbot like call somebody, but it's just not the same. It's
It's
really
not.
not the same.
Um,
I think it's important to implement it, but not to let it completely take over your business.
Agreed.
well, that's a
Although many
good.
people probably disagree with me.
Oh my gosh. So I guess here's a follow-on to that. Like due to your experience, what's a boundary you enforce now with AI that maybe you didn't on the front end just because you've learned where it can be adjusted?
Um, to be honest with you, I'm really not a fan of putting like all my information in AI.
Okay.
I know people that use it for everything and will like let it go into their bank accounts and it'll clean out their emails but I've seen stories where the AI acts autonomously and doesn't pay attention to the commands afterwards. So there was a story about this woman who worked for Meta as a like AI developer and implemented Claudebot to have it clean out her email and it started just deleting everything and she was telling it to stop, 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 and it wouldn't
Leading that.
stop. And I was just like, I don't know that I want to have like AI, control so many
You get that
aspects.
many emails? I mean, I get a lot, but I just clear them out like once a day, and geez, they
I
must be
laugh
that
because
popular.
a former REI baddie, Chad Choquette, talked about one of his friends unleashed an agent that had his credit card information and said AI agent decided they needed a $15,000 upgrade.
Are you serious? You see what I'm
See?
saying?
Yeah, where I'm
Like
And
like,
then
that's
who do you dispute it with? AI?
the
You're
world
gonna
we live
dispute?
in right now is wild.
You're gonna
yes,
dispute it with a robot?
it's insane to me. I'm like, yeah, I wouldn't give it that much. I don't even want it on my home network. Like I just feel like it knows so much that it could just like, go into my no, I don't. It makes me
So
very
what?
uncomfortable.
So
It can like draft emails for me. It can like,
sure.
extract information from documents. It can create a database for me. Like I'll use it for things like that for
Oh no, I mean
automations,
I use it
but
all day. Like
Yeah.
I'll create, so like if I'm looking at home in specific, like just say like probate, just I don't know. I'll take all the county records and throw them in there, and I'll say, give me an outline, give me dates, give me what they owe, like things like that. Like
Right.
I have it trained that way to kind of give me exactly what I need, but it's not my probate.
Right.
It's somebody else's. I'm not
Right.
Not mine.
Right.
Ella, do you mind if we shift a little bit and talk a little bit more about like deals?
Like what?
Deals.
Yeah, let's talk deals.
Awesome. So if you had to audit an investor's operation in 10 minutes, what are the first 3 red flags you're going to look for?
Audit an investor's operation as pertains to deals?
Yeah.
I mean, what kind of deals are we talking? Are we talking creative deals?
Yeah.
Yes,
I would say creative deals, given our audience.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's one that I often get, I'll have people come to me and say, hey, I had this done, but I don't think I have a power of attorney, or I don't think that I have the right insurance in place, or so definitely looking over all of the closing docs to make sure that we have what we need. If a buyer is telling me, yeah, I need to contact the seller so I can get into the mortgage portal, that's a red flag for me. If they tell me, oh, I kept the seller's insurance in place, that's another huge red flag. Yeah, and this happens all the time, and even it's funny because people think that because you go through a title company that everything is done correctly, but I've
Oh,
seen
no.
contracts go into title and it'll say, yeah, this is a mirror wrap. We're doing a subject to securing the seller with a mirror mortgage. And then I look in the closing packet and there's no mirror mortgage and there was nothing recorded. So I think the first step to making sure that they have good, clean deals is to audit through their files of the properties that they've bought, right?
No,
Make
they
sure
need to
that there's,
hire a TC. Okay, at the end of
well,
the day, when it
that
comes to
too,
creative financing, look,
right?
and I know in the keys it's not even talked about.
Right.
Most title companies, you need to probably check the title company and make sure they know what creative finance is.
Right. Because
Don't you think
oftentimes
that's
they
a number
don't.
one? I
Most
mean,
of right. Oftentimes they don't. But see, not every investor knows to ask that.
well, that's why we're talking about it. We're gonna tell them.
And- Right. And not and unfortunately, as much as I hate to say this, but as a TC, you really get your experience from the deals that you do and the amount of deal that you do.
Yep.
And some of the newer, greener TCs, they haven't built up a repository of the you don't know what you don't know. So for them, it's like, oh, great, they said they'll do creative, and then they run with it, and they don't realize, like, okay, it's one thing to say that you do creative, it's another thing to actually do creative.
And if you're new TC, that's not a good combination.
No,
What
definitely.
I love about this though, Ella, is you're going from beyond you could do the TC work, right? Like you can look at those files and do it. But what you're trying to do is teach investors how to hire better TCs and
Right.
professionalize that community. I love that about what you're
Yeah.
doing.
Right.
Because that is so needed to make our community stronger. Because some of the
100%.
situations that we're in these days could have probably used a TC.
Right.
So going to the audience, say someone's out there and who is a TC. What are 3 things you would say to a TC right now, a new one, that they could do to better their, not only just their experience, but like even if it's somebody like watch this person, read this book, do this, or where to be, or a group to join.
Right. For me, I feel that the best way to learn something is actually by doing it, right? That's a given. But I think as a newer TC, probably the best way to do that is to partner up with an experienced TC. Because I think a lot of times they don't do that because it's almost like, oh, I don't want to, not get paid as much for this file.
No, but you're gonna end up
Or
losing so much
right.
money, and you're gonna get piss somebody off.
But hindsight is always 2020, right? So they're not really thinking about it's almost like they say in wholesaling, like, would you rather have a
Always.
whole grape or a half a watermelon or whatever?
Yes.
You know what I mean? So
Absolutely.
that's definitely, I would say that's the number one
Number
tip is
one.
really is partner up with a TC
Don't
that
even have
is
to say
proven, right? Like that people know that they do a good job because that's the one that you'll learn the most from.
Can't agree with you
So
more. We talk a lot
yeah.
about G being
Yeah,
It's how important that is.
it really is, especially when you're starting off, for sure.
Yeah. So that actually, I'm going to talk about a certain type of investor, and I'm sure that anybody who is this type of investor doesn't actually think they are. It's kind of like therapy, like the people who need it the most don't go. If an investor is constantly blaming title, escrow, or like the seller's being crazy, what have you typically seen as the real issue?
Do I really need to answer that?
Yes.
Hell no, it's the investor. It's not everybody else. When everybody else is the problem, you really need to like take a really hard and good look at yourself, because that's more oftentimes the problem.
Yeah.
Thank you. And by
Yeah.
the way, for our audience, what Ella is saying, the way I pitched that question, I'm not trying to put her on her heels. It's the truth. I would say it as a mother, and I will
She
definitely say
would.
it as an investor.
Yeah. 100%.
That's her girl. That's my girl.
100%. Without a doubt, and I've seen it time and time again. And it's like, because I develop such good relationships with the escrow officers, I can often
Yes.
see, what the actual issue is. And maybe it's that they're not super responsive. I can only send you like so many emails before I'm just like, listen, if you're
Right.
not going to
Yeah.
respond, I don't know what to tell you.
And that's another thing
Um,
like for TCs is to get to know your escrows. Go and have a
right.
conversation with them. I remember I tried. My guy told me I was crazy. So obviously we'll be using. No, he did. He said you can't do that, Kate. And I was like, fine. I'll find someone else that will close it.
Really?
So, oh yeah,
Yes. There's a
it's
lot of that.
it's the keys. It's okay. I wasn't her. He's still my buddy. Our kids are in the same class. With that said, when you mentioned, okay, we're gonna kind of shift this a little bit because I want to talk about your impact that you're interested in creating in the future. Maybe you're kind of starting that. You mentioned that you're really wanting to focus on impact projects like sober living and master leasing and operating those things. What's pulling you towards that? Like, what's the new change? Like, you also talked about like maybe even owning your own creative property.
Yes. So I think, for me, I've been at TC for 4 years now, and I have spent a long amount of time um TCing deals for other people and building other people's empires, so to speak,
Yes.
right? And watching from the sidelines and thinking like, oh, I don't know how to do that. I would never, I'm too afraid to step off the boat, so to speak, because it's not something that I've ever done before. And for me, when I first got into real estate investing, it was, I had this vision that I was going to go into real estate investing and I was going to own multifamilies and I was going to provide housing for women who were in, domestic violence situations, because I had found myself in that situation. And I stayed for a very long time because I didn't know where to go. I wanted to go someplace that had like some semblance of home for me, and that meant being able to take my dogs with me. That meant being able to take my mom with me because she was living with me at the time and I didn't want to leave her behind. So I was like, well, how else can I do this? I'm just going to start owning multifamily and this is what I'm going to do. And then I got into the space and it started to feel more like, oh, I don't know that I'm ever going to get to that point. I'm good at TC, so let me just kind of stick here. And I never really had for me, it's always like, how am I going to do it? Right. I don't like asking people for money. So like finding private money partners or private money lenders, I was just like, I just need to be able to do this on my own. But I've found, over the years and even with my TC work, that it's really not, this is a team sport, right? Real estate investing is a team sport.
Absolutely.
And it's okay to present my vision to people, and it's okay to want to do things like, provide housing for victims of domestic violence,
Absolutely.
or maybe it doesn't look like multifamily, maybe it looks more like a single family house, or even with sober living, like there's just so many different things that I feel like people could benefit from, and it's not just affordable housing, but it's also giving people a place to kind of like regroup and
Reset
give them that right and give
and
them
have like
that
a
sense
home
of
away from
like
home, like a home that
right.
they've never had, or Girl, that's
Right.
right
Or
on.
to kind of like, you know, pick up those pieces and make yourself whole again and give you a place of peace to do that, right? Because I remember when I was in this situation, like sometimes it would just be, you know, right after I dropped the kids off at school and we'd start having these huge arguments and, you know, shoes
Yep.
flying, like
Yep.
punching the wall, like there was no peace in that house. And once I got to Florida, and it's like now I wake up in the morning and it's so peaceful and it's so quiet and it's so like I thank God every day that I get to do this, that I get to have this peace now. And I can't even imagine going from that situation into a situation with like a shelter or like, you know, where you
Yeah.
have no privacy, where you have like you're now you've gone from struggling and dealing with this situation with this significant other to now dealing with these people that you have no
Right.
idea that like will you have a bed later or
I know.
whatever the case is.
Yeah.
And even with, you know, and even with sober living, like my dad went to Vietnam, came back with like using opioids, like
Yep.
it
Oh, I
was,
know
you
also.
know,
My dad did the same, but
right. And you know, and knowing that he was still in that same environment all the time and he was never able to like clean himself up.
mm-hmm. Sorry to
And I
hear that.
think, you know, it's thank you. I appreciate that. Same.
My
But I
dad,
think it's
he's fine.
oh
He's still kicking. And he's sober.
yeah,
Some of it, yeah, but not all of them
yeah.
did.
But giving right and giving them the opportunity to do that. And I had somebody tell me, it was really funny because I was talking about this with somebody and they were like, yeah, like why do you want to do that? Like why do you want to deal with those types of people? Like that's like you know, that's like the lowest of the low. And I'm like, yeah, but you know, that's not how I feel about that. Like I understand, you
They're
know,
not
some
the lowest of
people
the low. They're just at a very low point.
at a very low point. Right, exactly. And I remember when I was trying to kind of like fix myself up and I had no job. I had no like I owned a stucco company and I was doing, you know, I was doing all of that, but it was his company.
Right.
And it was almost like I didn't have a job, right? Because I wasn't getting paid
Right.
for
Because
it.
we weren't getting paid.
Right. So I came down here to Florida. I didn't look good on paper. I had no job. I barely had like, you know, money or whatever. So for me, I know that the lady who rented me this house gave me an opportunity. And because of that, I was able to like turn my life around, right?
Love
So I
that.
think that sometimes people just need a break, right? So
I love that because what you're basically, it's so funny, right? I've had conversations with people about this with the work I'm doing with master lease agreements right now with Vin and Michelle. And I've
mhm,
had, you know, people be like in my own neighborhood, like, well, do we really want like those people in our neighborhood? And it cracks me up, right? Because it's so easy. Jameel talked about this when Baddies interviewed him in Charlotte
mhm,
back in December. It's so easy for people once they have theirs to be like, F you and F yours because I got mine. But
right,
being poor doesn't make you a criminal.
right,
No.
Being poor just means you're in it because that's what it is, right? Like when
right.
you are in a shared living environment because something has happened, you are vulnerable. And a
Oh,
lot of times people just need an opportunity.
They
And
do.
yeah, Ella, I just, you and I share a lot of
yes.
heart set on that.
Yes. And I love what you're doing with that. I think, you know, when I found out that you were doing that, I was like, this is awesome. Because I know a
I
few
know.
people in the community that are doing that.
Yeah,
And it
not
just,
just she's doing that. She
Yeah.
ain't talking
right,
the talk. She's walking the walk.
right. So I love that, you know, because you're out there. I mean, you scaled Everest for crying out loud.
I did
Like
not
I
scale
had,
Everest. I went to base camp.
oh, okay.
I went to
Well, still, that's,
17,600 feet, which is still really high.
She
but you
did it
still
with her
did get
dad,
Everest.
bro.
Right.
And if had
Yeah.
you, I mean, I just really want to say it wasn't until like December, I think. No, it was December, January. I got home from when we met and I read her whole book. And wow. I mean, it is got so much great information in there, like life skills. And I got to know Rachel on a different level, which I should have read it right at the beginning. But if you haven't read Rachel's book, definitely check that out. So I want to kind of get into you know, you've been very involved with Pace. We know that you've been interviewed. I think the other day you were like on a lake or something with him.
Yeah.
Um, you say that you want to expand outside the sub community. Like you want to bring creative finance to the outside, which is kind of like what I'm doing right now. So, working with Directed IRA to create that buzz. So, I started that series,
Mhm.
and it's neat. It's an interesting kind of world because people have no idea what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Rachel and I both agree, like our parents still don't know what we're talking about. And but yeah, so when you're thinking about how does that look like bringing this to the masses, like bringing this outside our community.
So I think there's a huge gap between investors and agents. And even with brokers too, right? Because we have some investors, I mean some agents who are willing to do creative, but then their brokers like, nope, we're not doing that. Sorry, take that somewhere else.
Yeah,
So what was that?
that's why I left Berkshire Hathaway 2 months ago, and I'm at a private one, little one. But yeah, it's very
So
complicated for people.
it really is. So what I've decided to do, and this happened recently, was that I was trying to get something under contract with an agent, and it was a 31-year-old. He had a VA loan and he was getting foreclosed on. We had a week to get it done. So I sent her an offer, and I was, the numbers were so tight. He owed like $35,000 on a $200,000 house. So we made the offer to her and we were like, we'll give you 1.5%, and we'll give him, I think it was like $500, right? That was what we did with the numbers because she didn't
Right.
want to go down. Originally it was 6%. I'm sorry, 3%. And
Either way,
we
you're
weren't even
arguing
doing an
with the
assignment
agent.
fee. What was that?
Now you're having this conversation with the agent or the
The
seller.
agent. The agent.
It's up to the
So
seller, but okay.
we couldn't even do like an assignment fee. It was just way too tight. It was just like let's try to help
Oh,
this.
right.
So he was gonna get foreclosed on. She took forever to get us the reinstatement so we could know exactly how much it was, and so we needed more time. We needed an extension, and we told her, let's get an extension. We'll stop the foreclosure, and we can finish with the transaction. And it was so funny because I was sending it to people to like see if they wanted to buy the deal. Thursday, before he was getting foreclosed on, someone reached out to me, and I had sent this person the deal a couple of weeks back when we had gotten it under contract. And they're like, yeah, we need you to help us stop a foreclosure. The foreclosure is on Monday. Can you do it? I was like, yeah, sure, no problem. And he's like, yeah, the house is in Brookville or Belleville, Florida. And I was like, oh, interesting, because that's where that house was. And I was like, oh, okay. And I remember I had talked to him
Oh,
previously,
heck no.
and I had sent him the deal, and he never got back to me on it. So I was like, when I asked him for the address and he told me what it was, I was like, that's really interesting. I was like, I sent you this property a couple of weeks back and you didn't say anything to me. He's like, oh, I just realized that my team had already been contacting this agent, yada, yada. I was like, whatever. Like at that point, it didn't even matter anymore, right? Because it was like, I was trying to help the seller. So he's like, yeah, we offered the agent $6,000 and the seller $500. I was like, okay, well, that's, more than I would have been giving her, but the seller would have gotten the same. She did not extend with me. And then come to find out, she did not sign with them because she wanted the seller's $500. She wanted the seller to walk with nothing. And because she couldn't get that $500, she did not do the deal with them and he got foreclosed on. So when that happened, for me, that was like a moment where I was so upset about it because it's like, who do you contact? She had no broker. She was like her own brokerage or whatever. And I said, you know what? I need to start talking to realtors.
I'm a
And
realtor. Let's do it.
yeah, I'm like, I need to start talking to realtors. I need to start explaining creative finance to them. I need to let them know like that this is not fraud and that there are ways to protect the seller. And then I was like, but it's not just the realtors, it's the brokers too.
No, I
It's
know.
mostly the brokers, I think, because the brokers who's gonna,
Right,
even when I've run into agents that are receptive, the broker
right. It's the
will be
right,
like,
right. So I actually, a couple of months back, probably about half a year at this point, last summer, I was calling agents for, listings that were long days on market. And I
Yeah.
developed this relationship with this agent, and she invited me to go to her brokerage and talk about it.
Yes.
That's coming up this coming
Good.
Tuesday. There's like in Fort Myers. So I'm gonna take the
Right.
drive out there and I'm gonna go talk to them. And I also have an event on Eventbrite where I'm trying to reach out to realtors because it's like, well, your listings they're just sitting. You know, you've got to have other strategies to
Awesome.
help these sellers.
I love it.
So I think I need to step outside of the community to be able to do that because these are
Yeah.
the very same people that are not understanding creative finance. And there's so many sellers that they're not able to help who they don't, well, sometimes they don't know how to help them. And sometimes the sellers are like, I couldn't even call that guy because I tried skip tracing him. I tried looking every freaking number that I tried. I couldn't get a hold of him. And I think, sometimes we talk to the sellers directly and they're like, well, my realtor says it's not good to do this. And, their realtor is the end all be all of like any solution that we could possibly present to them. And the realtor shuts it down. And then it's like, well, we could have helped you, but your realtor said no, and you wanted to just depend on your realtor, which I understand. I mean, you're a realtor, you work hard, you have your license, but I also think there's something to be said for the fact that creative is not taught.
Well, I mean, it wasn't until I saw Pace at Clever Summit in November of 24 that I even had an idea of, okay, and I've been an
Right.
agent for 7 years. I did one seller finance. So this is kind of a topic that I've really wanted to dig into, and I think it's definitely go for it, girl. Like fly your wings because
Let's do it. Let's hit up Florida.
let's do it. I'm ready to do it. I'll go with you for sure.
Yes, that'd be awesome. I
That's
think that
awesome.
I want to start reaching out to brokers and talking to them about this and
Well,
seeing,
and I'm an agent, so I'll have to agent mine.
yes, exactly. Yes.
The other piece of this, Ella, is you've been like all up in my LinkedIn algorithms because unlike a lot of people in this community, like yes, I use Instagram and yes, I use Facebook, but overwhelmingly, I talk to professionals that work at nonprofits and I talk to real estate agents and them's be W-2 employees and them's be hanging out on LinkedIn.
Yes, they do.
So you have absolutely cranked up in my algorithms based off of what you're doing. And we have to have a conversation at Squad Up Summit because I would love to show you how I have been attracting more agents
Yes.
through targeting them. So
Right. I
I'm
would
really
love
good
that
about
because
that. We'll do this
like
together. Let's bump this thing out
yes.
together, man. That's
I
great.
I would love to do that because I went to April Elias had a Zoom about how to use LinkedIn to create more of a
Yes.
network. And when I saw that, I was like, I haven't used LinkedIn for years. Like I'm not a W-2 employee anymore. Once I stopped doing W-2, I was like, whatever, LinkedIn, who needs that?
no,
But now I
Ella, I'm
realize,
telling you, I get people, at least 3 people a week that are trying to lend on deals from me or like that have deals that they want to sell me because of how active I am on LinkedIn. I've got almost 7,000 followers at this
She's
point.
very
oh
good
And
about
like,
her
gosh,
LinkedIn.
I'm
yeah,
60.
yeah,
But
that's all
we're
good.
like
You're
paid.
62,
I
girl. You got to start somewhere. You got to
Oh my,
start
yes, I
somewhere.
would love to talk about that. That
Yeah.
would be awesome.
Yeah.
I'm looking
Awesome.
forward to Squad Up. When are you ladies going?
I will get there Wednesday before it starts.
Yeah, I don't know yet.
Okay. Yeah, I
All
would love
right,
to.
all right, so I think we're kind of getting to the end of this. You want to? I mean, we can answer that one question. You've
The
done
most important question.
yeah, like hello, and
Save
I
the
already
best for
know
last.
why because I mean she should be like the official baddie. But go ahead, Rach. It's your birthday.
All right.
Since I missed your birthday,
Ella.
I'm literally going to make it up. And so I'm buying her a pink jumpsuit with REI Baddies on the back of it, and she's gonna have to wear it. That's her makeup.
Moving along.
Can't wait to see it.
Ella. What makes you an REI baddie?
That's a interesting question. I think that for me, being an REI baddie means that it's not just about the money. I am protecting the transactions, I'm protecting all of the parties involved, and it's important for me to see people doing good business in this space. So I pride myself on that. And I think that's what sets me apart from, other people in real estate. So that makes me a baddie like you ladies.
Bam! Drop it. Everyone, clip that.
Drop it like it's hot.
Oh my gosh. Ella,
Yes.
thank you so much. This was absolutely the type of TC operator conversation that we needed to
Perfect.
have.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to get to be on your show. I keep on hearing so much about it. So I'm like, I want to be on there
Oh
too.
my
Well, I've
God,
been
we are
inviting you.
honored,
I've been
girl.
bothering you about it.
On you,
I know we
man.
didn't have a chance to connect. I know. I know. I'm
So
looking
everybody
forward.
out there, I just want to thank everyone. Thank Ella. If you've seen or heard anything in this show, make sure you drop a comment. Make sure you share it. If you're a TC out there and you're really looking to like grow, listen, find somebody in your neighborhood, in your network, your area, sit with them. Ask them, hey, is there anything I can do for you to help you with your business? Because I'm going to tell you right now, that's the only way you're really going to learn. You're going to have to give a little, and then in return, you're going to get very much like information. You're going to get success from that. So make sure you smash that bell, subscribe button. And Rachel and I, starting like probably April, we're going to go back live. So make sure you hit that subscribe button, and then make sure you get notifications. Because I know all my friends out there that, are all of our baddies, we're all clicking that just so that I know when you guys are going live and when you got a new show.
Yep. And the bigger thing, guys, whatever you're doing right now, go ahead and go follow our friend Ella at All Day Ella Ray on, I believe that's Instagram and your Facebook, correct?
Yeah. And my Facebook, yes.
And if you are an agent and you are not following Ella Ray on LinkedIn, become person number 69, 70, 80, all the people.
Right.
We're going to increase that LinkedIn portfolio for you, Ella.
Yeah.
I love that. I can't wait to get to do some deals with you ladies and help
Heck
some
yeah.
people.
All right. Until next time, everybody, stay Baddy.
Thank you. Bye.